So good evening, everyone. I'm Marco. Many of you knows me from my previous experience. I'm announcing today, actually, that I changed my team, and now I'm leading the growth for TAC, Ton Application Chain.
Yeah.
And I'm super bullish on this. So today we got here a great panel of great people. Like, there's everything in the DeFi, I would say, from wallet to exchangers to liquid risk taking to lending to execution environment. So it's an amazing set of panels. Guys, as the first question, can I ask you to introduce yourself and what you're doing? Like, can you tell more about us? Tell us more about you?
Yeah, I'll start with the third introduction in a row. My name is Pavel. We're building TAC. This is a Ton network extension, allowing EVM ecosystem to tap into those 950 mils of users of Telegram. To you.
Hey everyone, I'm Gaf, and I'm one of the co-founders at ZeroLend. ZeroLend, as you know, is one of the leading lending markets on some of the L2s, and we're also building on the mainnet right now. So and we focus mostly on the longer tail of assets like the LRTs and the LSTs. We've built mostly on ZK Sync and Linear, but in the future we are also planning to work with TAC, of course, and
Hey guys, I'm Kratik. I'm founding contributor at Renzo. At Renzo, our mission is to make restaking as easy and as accessible as we can for our users. We launched around 10 months back, have more than $1 billion in TVL on 8 different chains and 130 plus DeFi integrations. So
I'm Michael, founder of Curve, which was originally a stablecoin exchange, but now it's much more like volatile tokens exchange, stablecoin lending and everything, and all powered by different sorts of interesting automatic market makers. So all about automatic market making.
Hi, my name is Kirill. I'm junior partner at the Open Platform. We are the platform for VCs and businesses to enter mini apps / Ton ecosystem. I'm more on the investment side and getting things done side inside our organization. And we partnered up with Pavel and Michael to bring in TAC to Ton.
Amazing. That's an incredible set of panelists here. So, Michael, I would love to start from you because, you made the history of DeFi. Curve was basically the protocol where we started to see deep liquidity on stablecoins that enabled serious stablecoin trading, basically. The question is, given the recent advancement of the technology with the layer 2 especially, and all the fragmentation of users and liquidity among multiple layers, what's your take on what's the future for Curve? Will Curve go over some infrastructural updates that will let Curve to be across all these layer 2, or the option will be more, let's wait which will be the one that will go the best, and let's just focus on that?
Right. Well, I guess Curve actually was one of the first protocols which started building across multiple chains, but we didn't push this narrative too much recently. But maybe it actually makes sense to kind of to restart this activity. For us, it was usually most important was to find new ways of applying AMMs to lending, to making yield and stuff like that. And I guess it probably makes sense to expand, let's say, our stablecoin, which appears to be, despite its small size, it appears to be the biggest revenue generator. So it is very important to expand it across multiple chains, and that's actually easier to do than porting everything at once. So that we can start with that. But other than that, we are exploring multiple things, like, for example, how to apply what we learned with the stablecoin and with the swaps of volatile assets, how to apply that to exchanging something like foreign exchange assets on chain, essentially, right? Because we now have stablecoins of multiple denominations, so on chain, and it just makes sense to figure out how to deal with that volatility, which is not very high and not very low, and algorithms we didn't really handle that well before, so it requires some very good thinking, but it looks like something is possible, and that's one of the directions. Or other direction is to kind of to find out more out of the system with soft liquidations with the stablecoin we have, because it didn't exist before, so it's not yet known what you can do with it, and people discover that, and we also think how to apply that better.
That's amazing. We'll move to ZeroLend. Gafoor. Let's move a bit away from you. So, guys, you had an amazing growth in the last year. Like ZeroLend grew from a very small, tiny startup to, like, I believe the second, for sure the first lending protocol on many L2 out there, and like. It seems that you were a bit against the trend where everybody was struggling for liquidity fragmentation across layer 2, user fragmentation, and developer fragmentation. You were growing across all this with a full multi-chain strategy. How did you do that? Like, what was the secret?
Yeah, so I think ZeroLend's story is quite unique in a way that we moved across chains over a period of 1 year. We launched in July of last year. And basically with $100 of TVL we started, and right now we're sitting at around 200 million TVL. First we dominated one chain, which was ZK Sync. So in the initial first 6 months, we were only a ZK Sync lending protocol. And then we moved on to Manta, then to Blast, and then of course Linea, where we have around majority share of our TVL. Right now, our focus is back on the Ethereum mainnet, where we are trying to attract a lot of TVL and find a product market fit there with Pendle PT tokens. But yeah, I think as a DeFi protocol, you should look at 3 things when you're deploying on other L2s for growth, right? And 3 questions that you want to ask is when, where, and how, right? When is basically when you want to deploy on that L2. Which is pre-token, post-token, during the token, right? That is something that we strategized very well. The other is where, which is which L2 do you want to go to? That is also super important in a way that the L2 has to have a narrative that is in sync with your protocol's narrative as well. So, and how is basically your GTM, your go-to-market strategy in attracting TVL? One of the things we are also trying to do is fix the liquidity fragmentation issue by launching cross-chain walls with our V2. So that would allow users to supply an asset on exchange, and the wall basically distributes that asset across the chains on different pools. So that's how we are trying to figure it.
It's amazing. And also you are one of the few lending platforms that goes over smaller cap markets, right? Like you focus a lot on, even on memes. That's amazing. Kratik. So yeah, you basically Renzo went live during the biggest narrative of last year, risk-taking, right? And like, it was amazing because we started talking when you were the only one providing L2 native risk-taking. That was like the best solution to align incentives between risk-taking and layer 2. Do you think that after all this time, do you start to believe that the yield generated from risk-taking are enough, are appetible enough to onboard the next 100 million users in DeFi, or we need something else?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, yield is never enough. Like we clearly have a lot of products in traditional finance that are high yielding in nature, but the distribution, the gatekeeping is so high that like it's actually like very hard for regular people to get access to it. And it's the same case, and it's going to be the same in DeFi to some extent. Like the fact that DeFi and on-chain is by design just open and permissionless means a lot of users can get access to it, but we still need the distribution channels for people to get access to it. So this could be smart contract wallets, account abstraction. We've seen even centralized exchanges offering yield services who already have distribution, which does solve the problem to some extent, but doesn't exactly solve it in the long run. We need more education, we need more content, and we just need, also like, it's not just yield, but it's also the nature of interacting with DeFi protocols. So like, we wouldn't be where we are if it weren't with the help of DeFi integrations that we've had with ZeroLend, with Curve, L2s like Linea, L2s like Arbitrum, like all these are distribution channels when it comes to users, right? And it also builds complex ways of, or to some extent like easy ways for people to interact with yield generating products, but at the same time engaging in DeFi and doing the activities that they wanted to do in the first place. So yeah, I mean, I think the answer to your question is yes and no, but mainly no.
So yield is an important part for the next 100 million users, but definitely not the biggest one. We need much more.
Not the biggest either, yeah.
Yeah, and like it was great because like the approach was really like going toward Lido approach. So understanding that you can have an art asset, low risk asset, like the risk-take token, plus the yield to be the core of the DeFi, and the integration were like really.
Yeah. And another important thing is also risk-adjusted yield. Lido offers like lowest risk possible, lowest risk that is possible for liquid staking, and that does get in a lot of users because, especially based on the risk profile.
Amazing. So we heard a very important keyword, right? After Kratik as well, distribution. So Pavel, we see here 3 amazing DeFi builder, OG DeFi builder. Like Ton today is a very attractive ecosystem for the distribution, especially because of the relationship with Telegram and because the user access that and the distribution power that Ton can have. And Ton today is something like a very big network, but with very low DeFi use cases. Where Ton can be with DeFi and what TAC is doing to be there?
Yeah, we're framing that as a network extension, and that we're solving this trilemma, which has to be there to engage with it. And that is the distribution, that is, these are the applications, and the liquidity. So Ton has done a ton, being part of the biggest social platform and probably the biggest ever hub, which is there from a distribution perspective. But there are some architectural obstacles which postpone or delay in a sense development of the application. And that's why the external liquidity. At the same time, the EVM community has done, because it was well funded, time and brains invested, resulted in a lot of in a variety of applications, which found the core market and a lot of liquidity there. So TAC is practically extending the network. Ton, in a sense, reaching out to that EVM absent liquidity, and also EVM extending that into Ton into that distribution, so that EVM ecosystem community with those dApps and applications and liquidity can tap into that distribution machine on blockchain rails of Ton. And yeah, that's
So, Krill, to you. Now, extending the question that I was just doing asking to Pavel. I believe that approximately we got something like 15 million users on Ton, and like in parallel we got something like 950 million Telegram users, right? So it's like the growth opportunity, it's huge. It's huge for, not just for Ton, it's huge for the industry, right? With such a distribution power. So you guys run the official Telegram wallet, right? On Telegram, the Ton wallet. Is it right?
Pardon me?
You guys run the official Telegram wallet on Telegram.
Yeah.
So
we investors in wallet in Telegram.
Yeah. So in your opinion, what is like your priority to try to capture even more, because distribution is also about your role, your features and your activity. So in your opinion, which is the priority for you to capture more than the 50 million users that we have today on Ton?
I think things are snowballing right now because we are facing the upcoming TG of Hamster, and the short-term priority for us is to sustain the load, because I expect like wonderful things to happen during the mint. But again, like putting this into perspective, that I doubt that there are hundreds of millions of users interacting with TradeFi infrastructure daily. So we are going to see something which hardly was ever done in TradeFi world as well. Because like I think we have lots of speakers here and like lots of talented guys in the audience and ladies, but I don't actually like think of this like NYC, Nasdaq, those exchanges which has hundreds of years of history. I really doubt that they faced hundreds of millions of users coming like on one certain date to do something about their accounts to move funds. Because like how TradeFi works, as far as I'm aware, I'm not a TradeFi guy, that lots of people manage their funds through applications for brokers, and like we are practically there. So like it's not like bringing the next 100 millions of users. As far as I'm aware, like it's about tapping, pun intended, into the users which will receive some Hamster coins, and building DeFi for the users which already have the coins. And Pavel here said that like there is Ethereum world well funded. I think Ton is pretty well funded by now. But my take is that we had the whole like meta around ICOs, which sort of pumped the backs and spread the tokens and spread the value across users, and then just time passed, and those values or like assets were reappreciated, and that's what I expect to happen with Hamster coin. So people will get drop, it will be traded. It doesn't matter if it go like up or down. It will create a huge volume on the market, and this is sort of like opportunity to tap into Hamster, Notcoin, and Dogs as premium assets, and to build DeFi around like those coins. Of course, it will involve more sophisticated strategies and more complex tools, just as we see on different chains, and that will evolve, which will require all of us to work together on like setting up TAC and making sure that we have environment to run Solidity to shorten time to market for such instruments, such tools, which are going to help us to develop the market after the initial phase. But as far as I'm concerned, we're good with the distribution. We now need to work on the part where we take this audience, educate it, and move forward down the funnel, because I think we are on time with that, because TAC is being developed. I see Anthony probably typing some code right now because he had some brilliant ideas. Yeah, like I think for the first time in a while we got the timing right. So like there is a huge audience coming. There are like tools and infrastructure coming up for more deeper and sophisticated tools, and all that's left is to go through the TGE and then educate users to what to do with their tokens, how to like treat them, what they can do, how they to stake them, how to like loan them, how to work with the assets they will suddenly get a hold of.
That's Gafoor. Basically, it's an appeal to you. Come to build on TAC. Let's create lending market for Hamster. And no, but seriously, like it's amazing to see that a couple of times I heard the word education, because we are on the distribution side. That's what we are talking about. Education is like the priority here. That's in my opinion, is one of the most important things. And it's super interesting to see the level of support that this token or coins like hamster, dogs, they got from, I would say, the core player of the ecosystem. This is something that you will not find in other ecosystems. Like, I don't believe that Vitalik will come out and will like talk about, I don't know, a meme coin, apart maybe from Doge.
Well, to be honest, like I think this is the distribution use case which being highlighted and elevated rather than exact coin. This is all paradigm. So like, and I'm referring to any coins just as a case, as application, because God who knows, like we may see even bigger projects getting launched in the ecosystem.
Not financial advice, of course.
Yeah, of course.
So I will take the same question. I would love to like extend to the other panelists. Like, let's assume that you can have a magic wand that will like boom bring 100 million of users tomorrow morning on chain, on any chain you want. You run some dApps, you run an infrastructure. Do you believe that the current level of infrastructure and the current level of dApps, assuming that there will be liquidity, will be enough to hold and to scale for these 100 million of users? And if not, what is the bottleneck that you see?
Yeah, I guess I can probably tell something in this question. I think the scalability question is, well, technologically, scalability question is the question about how scalable the underlying blockchain is. When you have so many users, a better question is like how many users are capable to deal with DeFi as it is on Ethereum, or there should be some different, more user-friendly DeFi. Because like what happens right now on Ethereum, it's a little bit like everyone is flying an aircraft, right? So operating this DeFi on Ethereum for many people compared to tapping a hamster is like flying an aircraft. Pretty complicated, but if you can do it, then you actually win big, and you can carry other people on this aircraft. But if you want something simple, then I think it was a little bit underexplored, and it's well, on Ton I see both approaches. One approach where everyone is flying their aircraft is like is porting Ethereum infrastructure on TAC, for example, right? And somebody can build something and make it possible to interact with that on actual Ton while it's running on TAC or on Ethereum or wherever. But another way would be, for example, let's say we have something which earns yield on Ethereum. Why not bridge that to the actual Ton and like it's a yield-bearing token. One can make it easy to enter and exit out of that, and then one can build around that. So you can, but after all, it would be something which produces yield, and everybody is interested in that in principle. So in principle, after people would play all sorts of games, but they will converge to the question like how to save funds, how to make funds work, essentially. And this can be done in decentralized way, and this can be done in a user-friendly way. And I think this is probably how Ton could scale to small individual users, and when there are so many of those. And also it's actually technically easier to scale. Or maybe like reflecting back to that analogy with traditional finance, where you have brokers and you don't have every user interacting with all the guts of the financial system. So currently on Ethereum, we have everyone interacting with all the guts of financial system on Ethereum. But if you tokenize different strategies and give it in a very simplified form to users, that's like brokers, but instead of brokers, you have actual code, not some people or organizations.
That's amazing. Don't know, Kratik, Pavel?
Yeah, it's interesting how you can maybe combine those primitives which we consider comprehensible, such as yield-bearing coins, with those users onboarded in hundreds of millions through tapping games. So, I mean, by merging these concepts, you potentially can bridge the gap of education, which has a very steep learning curve. So basically teaching finance and investing and crypto tech to non-tech savvy users of casual games, that's an impossible task, right? But maybe just merging them can onboard them naturally. I mean, the value is clear, you just have to explain that, you know, looking at your funds just growing without doing much can naturally add value, right? So, as a service. But it's to be seen. I don't know how the the ecosystem plays around those hundreds of millions of users.
Well, one thing, funds don't grow over time. On chain, we see rewards getting spread.
Other comments? Gafoor, Kratik?
Yeah, I mean, when you say like there are 100 million users, I think what's important to know is if tomorrow somehow there are 100 million users spawn up, what activity are we A, expecting them to do, or B, hoping that they do, right? And it could be like those users could be like, okay, they could be buying and selling meme coins or shit coins on some L2 or mainnet. They could be adding LP somewhere. They could be just bridging back and forth for farming airdrops, or they could be doing a lot of things, right? And I feel like okay, some of them are very short term, like for example, like very like short term farming or collecting some points in a game, etc. This could be very short term, but then there are long term use cases that users can get as well, as for example like earning sustainable yield that we talked about earlier, or even like LPing stable coins. There are some ways that users can earn, but at the end of the day, like I like what Michael said is the rails that users have right now is well, A, there is technical problems in the blockchain itself, but then there are also the ways of interacting for users, and maybe we are there, but I think a lot of it is still yet to be built, depending on what the user wants to do. That's my point.
Yeah, so as Kratik mentioned, right, I think we still have some issues to fix for sure. I think on a macro level, UX still plays a huge role, and that is what I see happening on the TON chain, which is amazing, right? I was able to see a screenshot of what the Curve app would look like on TON, and it really blew my mind because it was very simple and easy to use. The other thing is also, if these users just magically appear, we have to then think about how do we get the next billion users, right? Which is a more difficult question to answer, for which I think one of the biggest roles to play is still what people perceive of the crypto and DeFi world. Because if we can't fix that, if they think that it's just, something flamboyant and something only technical people can do, then it's still a problem, right? So I think the current infrastructure has issues, but we are constantly trying to improve it as we go along.
Yeah, if I want to provide a sort of recap, it seems that we are ready to hold 100 million users. Technically, we just need to find proper UX and proper use case. That's if I want to create a big wrap-up.
I think all of us would be glad to face this, technical bottleneck of transacting those hundreds of millions of users' transactions, right?
That's always, yeah. So Mike, I would love to close this panel, not asking a question, but for this lucky person to get like an inspirational messages from you. Like talking to as a DeFi builder to DeFi builder, something that can inspire people.
Well, I guess what we are doing here in DeFi is we are just building the financial system how it should be without anyone operating it, so just operated by the code. And I think this is very exciting. So we already saw that working on some smaller scale, and possibly that scale will become much bigger very soon. So, and we are living in very interesting times in this sense.
That's amazing. I don't know if there are questions that we can take, or if there's any question from the audience. Okay, thanks to the panelists. Thank you very much.